Welcome to the 2020 Select USA Investment Summit Brownsville Virtual Tour, or as we say here on the border, bienvenidos. We are delighted that you've decided to join us today. I'm Ana Laura Chavez, Brownsville native and your host for today's event. Brownsville is conveniently positioned in the middle of the USMCA corridor on the border of Texas and Mexico, making it one of the most exciting places for foreign direct investment. It boasts a deep seawater port, an international airport, an incredible source of skilled workforce, and also a spaceport. To get us started, please welcome Select USA Executive Director, Dina Beaumont.
Thank you, Ana Laura. I am pleased to welcome you to a Select USA virtual tour featuring investment opportunities in the automotive, aerospace and defense, and energy sectors in Brownsville, Texas, which is organized in collaboration with the Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation. This virtual tour is part of the recently launched series from Select USA. As the acting executive director, I am happy to be with you, and I look forward to a great presentation. Select USA, as many of you know, is the government-wide initiative dedicated to advancing President Trump's trade and economic agenda by fostering job-creating business investment into the U.S. Since its inception, Select USA has facilitated more than $78 billion in client-verified investments, supporting more than 95,000 jobs across the United States. In fiscal year 2019 alone, Select USA facilitated more than $18.5 billion in investment. The robust pro-growth policies of the Trump administration has made the United States the #1 destination for business investment. Our administration is working hard to create an environment in which companies can flourish. We have reduced burdensome regulations. We have lowered tax rates. We are focused on protecting intellectual property and on improving infrastructure. In short, we're making it easier and less expensive for companies to expand their operations by doing business here. The Select US team is here to help business investors succeed and assist them in finding their next investment location. Select USA has a proven track record of success connecting international companies with partners and resources to help them achieve their investment goals. Our services include information and counseling, events, and assistance navigating the regulatory system. We work closely with economic development organizations. Through Select USA virtual tours, we are able to offer business investors an overview of existing opportunities in different sectors and locations in the United States. According to the latest annual data, just over 622,000 U.S. jobs were directly supported by majority foreign-owned affiliates in Texas. A total of 1,422 announced greenfield projects were reported in the state. Until we are able to gather in person, the Select USA team will continue partnering with economic development organizations to offer virtual tours of select locations across the U.S. You will see some of those events and locations listed on our website at selectusa.gov. I would like to strongly encourage international companies joining the virtual tour today to take full advantage of the opportunity to schedule one-on-one virtual matchmaking meetings with the members of the Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation. Meetings are taking place immediately after this webinar and throughout the rest of today. If you have any questions, reach out to my team at susaevents@trade.gov. That's SUSA events@trade.gov. Select USA and our colleagues located in the U.S. Commercial Service in Texas are here to assist your company if you have any questions. I'd like to thank the Greater Brownsville Incentive Corporation and all of our speakers today for putting on this great event. With that, I am pleased to introduce the next speaker and a fantastic Select USA partner, Ms. Adriana Cruz. She is the Executive Director for Economic Development and Tourism in the Office of Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
Good morning. I'm Adriana Cruz, Executive Director of the Economic Development and Tourism Office in the Office of Governor Greg Abbott, and I'm pleased to welcome you to the Select USA virtual tour of Brownsville, Texas. I'm honored to be speaking with you today, along with speakers such as Congressman Vela and Mayor Mendez and the other panelists that you'll be hearing from. I'd like to thank Dina Beaumont, Executive Director of Select USA, and the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation for co-hosting this important event. The mission of the Economic Development and Tourism Office is to market and promote Texas as a premier business location and tourism destination. Our team works with our local communities and facilitates the location, expansion, and retention of domestic and international business investment, oversees tourism promotion, and administers the state's financial incentive programs. Under the leadership of Governor Abbott, we work to maintain Texas's status as the top state in the nation for business, economic vitality, and job creation. If Texas was its own country, we'd be the 9th largest economy in the world, making the Lone Star State one of the leading investment destinations in the country. In fact, we were recently named State of the Decade by Business Facilities magazine, and this year we won a record-breaking 8th consecutive Governor's Cup from Site Selection magazine, marking the 16th overall win for our state. This award is given to top-performing states in the country for job creation and capital investment. We also rank as the best state for business by Chief Executive magazine for 16 years in a row. So why is Texas so attractive as an investment destination? Texas has no corporate income tax, no personal income tax, lower operating costs, access to a highly skilled and diverse workforce, the 2nd largest in the country at 14 million strong, as well as a reasonable regulatory environment and the most business-friendly climate in the country. In addition, the state's excellent higher education institutions offer employers a steady pipeline of readily available and qualified talent. Together with an excellent quality of life, beautiful landscapes, and low cost of living, all of these factors have attracted businesses from all over the world. Texas currently ranks as the #1 destination in the United States for foreign investment. International trade is incredibly important to the Lone Star State, and Texas is ranked #1 in the country for exports for the past 18 years. Texas is strategically located in the center of the U.S. and in the center of North America, and home to the most miles of public roadways, state highways, and freight railways in the country. Our world-class infrastructure and transportation network and 29 official ports of entry make it easy for businesses to ship their products around the globe. South Texas and Greater Brownsville serve as a direct trade link between Texas and Mexico, our #1 trading partner. The modernization of the trade agreement between U.S., Mexico, and Canada, or USMCA, will bring great benefit to both Texas and Mexico, including greater cross-border investment opportunities, additional access for agricultural goods, increased environmental protections, and streamlined regulatory processes. Our office is committed to continuing the strong trajectory of economic growth in Texas, and we look forward to exploring investment opportunities with you and answering any questions you may have about doing business in the Lone Star State. On behalf of Governor Abbott and the entire team at the Economic Development and Tourism Office, I'd like to welcome you to the great state of Texas and enjoy your tour of the Brownsville region. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Dina and Adriana for their continued support. You have no doubt attended many of these virtual tours in the past few months. So why select Brownsville? Well, to provide some insight into the many reasons Brownsville is your FDI's dream location, It is my honor and privilege to introduce U.S. Representative of the 34th Congressional District of Texas, Congressman Filemon Vela.
Good morning. I'm Filemon Vela, and since 2013, I've had the pleasure to serve as a United States Congressman for the 34th District of Texas. This year, only 13 cities were chosen to be part of Select USA's virtual tour series, and I am very proud that Brownsville, the city in which I was raised, and that I have the pleasure to represent in Washington, D.C., is among them. Every city is unique, and there are no other cities in Texas like Brownsville. Situated in the southernmost tip of Texas, located along the Mexican border, Brownsville is a truly binational city that offers investors access to a deep-sea waterport with gateways to prosperous markets in Mexico. Its unique location means you would benefit from the finalized and improved United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, which advances and strengthens fair trade across borders like never before. Brownsville and the region are booming with opportunities. The city proudly shines at the crossroads of global trade and has proven itself as a leading location for international commerce. With all that Brownsville and the surrounding area have to offer in terms of population, growth potential, workforce, and transportation, and with the new multi-million-dollar international airport terminal, which many of us helped create, your company's destiny awaits. To the energy, aerospace, and automobile manufacturing industries considering reshoring, expanding, or looking for a return on investment with both short and long-term sustainability, I urge you to learn more about this unique region of Texas and all that it has to offer. Brownsville welcomes you to Texas.
Thank you, Congressman Vela. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our friends watching around the world. My name is Trey Mendez, and for the last year and a half, I've had the privilege and honor of serving as the mayor of Brownsville, Texas, on the border of Mexico. Now, I want to thank everybody for watching. This virtual event of our city is being hosted by the Department of Commerce, Select USA, as well as the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation. Now, there's one thing I want to convey to you, and it's this. Brownsville is open for business. We want your investment, we want you to consider Brownsville, and we want you here. We have a really young workforce. We have the benefit of having over 1 million individuals in the Rio Grande Valley area, and we have over 1 million people with our counterparts in Mexico. And we have a young workforce, a skilled workforce, and a trained workforce. You'll have the benefit of a community college, which is the oldest community college in the state of Texas, which actually reached its highest enrollment here in the last couple of years. We also have one of the largest Hispanic serving institutions in the entire country, the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. We also have a lot of multinational corporations and a lot of great companies that have relocated in Brownsville over the last several years, including SpaceX. When you think of Brownsville, think of all the great things that are happening. We have a great team, we have a great commission, and I leave you with this. We are Brownsville, Texas, on the border, by the sea, and beyond.
We are so grateful to our mayor for all of the incredible work he and his team have accomplished to make Brownsville a hub of innovation and for providing a clear path for businesses, both foreign and domestic, to thrive in Brownsville. But don't take my word for it. Here are industry leaders, Dr. Hangsheng Li, CEO of America Instrument Inc., and Christina Keller, President and CEO of Cascade Engineering and CK Technologies, to share why they decided to select Brownsville.
My name is Hangsheng Li. I'm a professor in the computer science department at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. I do my teaching out there, but also I like business. I started a business called a maker ship in 2015. That business focuses on cross-border logistics, and with the support of the city, with the support of this region, we have been very successful. Now recently, because of the COVID-19, we need a lot of masks to fight against the pandemic. So I started this project to produce masks in this May. After 3 months of hard working, also with the assistance from the city, especially the office of Greater Brownsville, we successfully completed. Today, the machine behind me can produce 100,000 masks per day. I have been living in Brownsville for almost 15 years. I like this region. I see the promising of this region. This region is growing fast. So in 10 years, I can imagine that this city will be a big metro, will be a big city on the border. We will have advanced technology here. We will have advanced manufacturing here. We have a lot more companies here. I think because of city, because of university, we have the manpower, we have the technology, we have expertise. I think we will grow to a very promising land. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Christina Keller, the President and CEO of Cascade Engineering and CK Technologies. We're one of the largest plastic injection molding companies in the nation. And we have a business with a different mindset. So through our engineering, manufacturing, and a different culture, we focus on the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit, and try to keep those three elements in balance. We are proud to be part of the Brownsville virtual tour, and we have enjoyed our relationship with the Brownsville location, and they have supported us from both a supply chain perspective and from a getting good people perspective. Brownsville borders Mexico and has deep seawater ports. It actually is on the border by the sea. The area is growing and opportunities are abundant, and the cost of living is one of the lowest in the United States. If you're considering Brownsville for a future location or are considering reshoring, contact the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation and let it work with you to secure your location.
Thank you so much to Ms. Christina Keller and Dr. Hangsheng Li for being part of our event. Now I would like to introduce the CEO of the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation, Mr. Mario Lozoya.
Thank you, Ana, for that introduction. Y bienvenidos a Brownsville, Texas. You know, Ana, earlier today, I had the privilege of interviewing two outstanding professionals. One of them is Mr. Chris Wilson. He is the Deputy Director of the Wilson's Centers Mexico Institute, and he is an expert in the Mexico-U.S. affairs. I also had the privilege of interviewing Rosemary Coates. She's Executive Director of the Reshoring Institute, and she's an expert in reshoring companies that want to come to the United States. So let's look at that video.
So good morning, everybody. We're very excited to have two professionals, outstanding leaders in this space. Chris Wilson from the Mexico Institute in the Wilson Center. Thank you for joining us. And we also have Rosemary Coates from the Reshoring Institute. So Chris, can you share with us what's happening in the world of the border region between Mexico and the U.S.?
A lot's happening between Mexico and the United States right now. It's a packed time, obviously, with elections coming in the United States. President AMLO, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, who took office, a little over, about a year and a half ago at this point, still sort of a new government in Mexico. There's a lot of sort of uncertainty because of some of those political issues. But at the same time, I want to talk about today the USMCA and the way that actually has brought some certainty back to the U.S.-Mexico relationship. And these are some issues that we've been following really closely at the Mexico Institute, the Wilson Center in Washington, D.C., where I work. We've got a ongoing series of dialogues, deep diving sort of in chapter by chapter, looking at the USMCA. We just had a webinar very recently hosting the Secretary of Economy and Secretary of Labor for Mexico to explain what they're working on in terms of Mexico's labor commitments related to USMCA, how Mexico had to undertake a labor reform to comply. So these are issues we're following very closely, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation and opportunity to talk with you and your audience today about them. Thanks so much for the invitation to join you today, Mario.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's a good word, the certainty, right? And in the world of uncertainty, we have much more certainty here, especially with what's happening with what you just mentioned, the Mexican changes that are happening based on USMCA in alignment with the entire region. It's great. So, Rosemary, tell us about the Reshoring Institute and how that applies to the border region.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we've been around for going on 7 or 8 years now, helping companies bring manufacturing back to the U.S. And, over time, there have been a few big things that have happened. Certainly the Tax Reform Act of 2017, the trade war, the 301 penalty tariffs on Chinese imports, these have all affected reshoring. The big one was COVID-19. And, the others were economic issues and helped to put together total cost of ownership and to have a kind of a financial look, an economic look at reshoring. But COVID-19 has introduced risk into supply chains. And as a result of that, we have many clients that are knocking on the door saying, help us find manufacturing locations in the region. And so we're particularly excited about the border region because of the opportunity to manufacture in low-cost environment in Mexico, and then also the cross-border with the USMCA influence for cross-border commerce close to the customer base. So it's a win for everybody. And even though COVID is this horrible thing we're living through, we think the outcomes are going to be quite positive for the regional economy.
Yeah, I agree, and we're all looking forward to it, and we all need to get ready, right, from all different levels. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask the both of you some questions. So Chris, I'm going to ask you a question first. How do you see the USMCA trade agreement impacting the U.S.-Mexican border?
I think the context here, Mario, is one of uncertain times in terms of trade policy, right? I mean, right now, we don't have an appeals body at the WTO, the World Trade Organization, that's able to hear cases because they don't have enough judges appointed to the panels. We have this huge amount of trade tensions between the United States and China, and more generally around the world. I mean, this isn't just sort of US-driven policy changes. We have governments around the world that are a little bit more nationalistic, a little bit more inward-looking than we're used to over the last several decades. And so that's created this climate of uncertainty. But despite that, and it's kind of amazing that we actually landed here, because we started off in terms of North America, during this presidency, during the Trump presidency, with a lot of uncertainty too. But the USMCA has turned that around, right? We now, by having the USMCA, have created this island of certainty amidst a sea of uncertainty. We have a recommitment from the three governments of North America to have a framework of free trade across the region, a rules-based system, and amazingly, despite what some people say, I actually think we have more certainty now than we did previously because of the bipartisan nature of support for the USMCA. So I've got the numbers here in front of me. The USMCA was passed 89-10 in the Senate and 385-41 in the House. Okay, those numbers are unlike any trade agreement the United States has ever passed. Just for one point of comparison, NAFTA was passed 61-38 in the Senate, 234-200, essentially split, right? A small majority on each side for NAFTA, but now we have a huge bipartisan majority supporting the USMCA. And so that's a huge gain. I mean, really, that's the most important thing that happened with the USMCA. There are some good additional measures that could be positive for the border region. There's a chapter on trade facilitation that should make the movement of goods across the border a little smoother. There should be, more certainty, clarity, transparency with regards to custom rules going forward. As a result of that, we have better rules on digital trade. NAFTA was negotiated before we all had cell phones in our pockets and bought things on Amazon and Etsy, right? So none of the rules for that kind of stuff were written into NAFTA. Well, now we have a trade agreement that's updated and modernized and better for the 21st century. We can talk about some of the more sort of divisive elements in the moment, things like rules of origin. But I think that generally speaking, you just have to see the USMCA impact on the border region, on the United States and the North America as a whole as a real positive. We've got a platform on which to attract investment, strengthen manufacturing, and really build the economies of all of the countries of North America together going forward as a result.
And you mentioned the labor reform webinar, and I participated in that. It's very interesting. We'll try to put that into our website so the audience can see what we're talking about? Because that's very relevant, the point that you made.
Thanks, Mario. Appreciate that. That'd be great.
And Rosemary, you mentioned COVID. So can you share with us what has COVID-19 exposed, or what issues related to a global supply chain concept and expedited or even surfaced the need to regionalize or even localize the network, the supply chains?
Yeah, well, there has been a number of trends and things that have happened recently that have caused manufacturers to rethink their global strategy. So certainly, the tariffs have caused at least an initiation of discussion regarding where in the world companies are manufacturing. Where do they actually put manufacturing? And as Chris mentioned, things like Amazon, Amazon has taught us all to expect deliveries overnight or 2 days. And that includes industrial products as well. So, we've tightened those supply chains. The expectations are heightened. And then with COVID, we really exposed the lack of inventory and pipelines, the lack of planning. So all of a sudden, these manufacturing companies that I've worked with over 20 years, the executives are now saying, wow, we need to take a step back and evaluate where our risks are and what our strategy should be for manufacturing, either what we call China plus one, so China plus one other country, or some global manufacturing strategy where you can move manufacturing to different areas depending on what happens in the world, the geopolitical environment, the weather, the other risks that might be introduced. So, what I love about the border region along the Texas border particularly is that you have the opportunity to utilize or make use of low-cost manufacturing that is then streamlined by cross-border operations with USMCA, and at the same time support business and industry on the US side. So, just because you're manufacturing in Mexico, you're still creating jobs in the US because there's cross-border traffic, there are customs brokers, there are warehouses, truckers, distribution, there's all kinds of
Can you share with us,
benefits.
you mentioned some industries, can you share some examples of some industries that are more likely to capitalize on this condition?
Yeah, I think the primary beneficiary, if I was to pick one industry, it would be automotive. So as you may know, the automotive industry is centered in Wuhan, China. Most of the automotive parts were coming out of that particular region, as well as metal fabrication. That was the big center. And then it had ripple effects to the electronics industry in the Pearl River Valley outside of Hong Kong, the Guangzhou, Dongguan, and Shenzhen. So those regions have become vulnerable because of the tariff, as well as the virus, the COVID virus coming out of Wuhan, and automotive was particularly affected. Now, of course, we know that automotive parts are manufactured a lot in Mexico. There's a big automotive industry. And I think companies that are in that industry are rethinking what they're manufacturing in China to determine if they could, in fact, move it to Mexico. So I think automotive is probably the biggest winner out of the group. There's certainly other industrial products as well. I think we'll see some plastic products moving, injection molding, and other kind of related production there. There's certainly an opportunity for sewn goods, footwear and apparel manufacturing. So, those are the kind of things that I expect to see taking advantage of the new USMCA.
That's right. So that's a good segue. So Chris, regarding the USMCA and some of the cross-border binational movement that Rosemary alluded to, well, what is your take on what the rules of origin impact that particular chapter in the USMCA benefits the border region?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. One more thing to just throw in, following on what Rosemary was just saying, is I think there are opportunities in electronics for Mexico too. And I say that in particular because high-tech products are an area where we're already seeing and will just be seeing continuing tensions with China on. And so I think that's it's an area where Mexico has had some success in the past. Mexico's the largest exporter of flat screen TVs to the United States already. So there's, tech industries that Mexico's done well in over the years. And I think there's just opportunities to really expand and grow in that. And that links into, actually, very importantly, into automobiles. Because what are cars but big computers on wheels these days, right? I mean, there's so much technology that's put into a vehicle at this point. They're internet connected, they're software driven. And so all of those things, start to raise the similar concerns when it comes to auto production that we've been seeing in other tech products as it relates to global supply chains. And that sort of a supply chain risk. That's a different type of supply chain risk. The rules of origin themselves, the changes to the rules of origin under the USMCA, I mean, the big area where we saw changes was in the auto sector, right? So basically what happened is, under NAFTA, a car needed to be 62.5% made in North America in order to get the free trade benefit that NAFTA offered, right? So now that's up to 75% made in North America. Well, that means that more of your parts, more of your suppliers need to be located in the region to ensure that you're getting the benefits. And it seems that most auto producers will go ahead and try to find ways to meet those new standards. And many of them already do, because they have so much production, because it's a competitive region to make cars and trucks. But some will have to move a little bit more of their supply chain into the region to do so. That obviously provides opportunities for the border region to be capturing some of that. The other change was to have 40 to 45% for cars and trucks needing to be made in factories that pay their line workers $16 an hour or higher. Well, that's, it's kind of a shorthand way of saying in the United States or Canada, because in most factories, just about every factory in Mexico doesn't meet those wage standards. There's some stories saying that one or two may actually raise wages enough to do so, but that will be the exception. Most will not do that. They will instead, though, think about having a larger portion of their supply chain in the United States, particularly if they can do so in a cost competitive way. And so that's an opportunity, again, for the border region. Now, I just have to be totally honest. In economic terms, this is going to make cars probably cost a little bit more for people in North America. But from a sort of manufacturing investment perspective, it certainly will drive more investment into the region. And just again, to follow on what Rosemary was saying, I mean, I have to say, the old model of border manufacturing was build it in Mexico because of cheap labor. And then, on the US side, you'll get the jobs because of the facilitation, the trucking, the logistics, all of that stuff. And that still happens, of course. But I think the huge untapped opportunity, and we see examples of it starting to bubble up, is for real, binational manufacturing inside the border region. Because in a small geographic area, you can combine the comparative advantages of low-cost labor in Mexico, or really mid-cost labor in Mexico, but high-skilled mid-cost labor in Mexico, with lower costs of capital in the United States, lower costs of energy in the United States, and higher skilled workers in the United States. And so if you're thinking of, expanding your auto supply chain, which increasingly needs, brilliant minds as much as anything else to create those new products, the software, complex manufacturing processes, well, maybe you're thinking right now is a good time to bring part of that to the US side of the border region as well, and take advantage of, yes, your supply chain in Mexico, but keeping more of your overall supply chain closer to your customers, as Rosemary was talking about as well.
Well, hopefully our audience looks at Brownsville, Texas as a binational component to their strategy. And so thank you very much, both of you. We're running out of time. To our audience, this is Chris Wilson, the Deputy Executive Director of the Mexico Institute at the Wilson Center, wealth of knowledge of the border region. And Rosemary Coates, thank you for your time. 25 years experience in supply chain and international supply chain. Thank you for your time. We would like to include your links and your information on our website so the audience can hear more about what you're doing and the expertise that your team provides to this concept. And again, thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you as we continue growing this region. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mario. Great to be here.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Wow, well, that's a lot to say. And thank you, Chris Wilson and Rosemary Coates, for your words. Reminder to the audience that our website, the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation, will include a lot of content from both organizations for your benefit. So talking about the border region, let's look at what the North America Development Bank is doing. So the North America Development Bank focuses on environmental and infrastructure activities within the border region, specifically Texas and Mexico. So let's listen to Calixto, Mateos, Helen from the North America Development Bank.
Hello, I am Calixto Mateos, the Managing Director of the North American Development Bank. First, I would like to thank Mario Lozoya of the Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation and his team for the invitation to join you today at the Select USA event overseen by the U.S. Department of Commerce. The North American Development Bank is a financial institution established in 1994 and capitalized in equal parts by the United States and Mexico for the purpose of financing environmental infrastructure projects along our common border. The eligible sectors for the bank financing include water and wastewater, solid waste, air quality, clean energy and energy efficiency, and basic urban infrastructure. Eligible projects must be located within 62 miles north and 186 miles south of the shared border. For the last 25 years, the bank has financed over 267 projects on both sides of the border, which represents a total infrastructure investment of $10 billion. The bank provides loans and grants for the implementation of projects and offers technical assistance for project development. For project loans, the bank offers direct financing to public and private entities, competitive fixed or floating rates, terms of up to 30 years, and technical support, due diligence, and project structuring services. Financing may be provided in a number of ways, including direct loans, revolving lines of credit, and participation in municipal bond issuances, among others. NADB also offers limited grants for those public entities where debt financing is not a viable option. To date, more than 17 million U.S.-Mexico border residents have been positively impacted by the bank's financing of environmental infrastructure. Shifting gears, the USMCA trade agreement, which recently went into effect, provides a great opportunity for not only continued growth and collaboration between the US, Mexico, and Canada, but more efficient and effective growth and collaboration in the areas of trade as well as the environment. One of the signature accomplishments in the trade deal was the capital increase for NADB. Included in the US law to implement the agreement was the approval of $225 million from the US for that purpose. Our work in partnership with our many border stakeholders has not been unnoticed and was validated through the inclusion in the USMCA. This achievement would not have been possible were it not for US congressional leaders like Senator John Cornyn and South Texas Representatives Filemon Vela, Henry Cuellar, and Vicente Gonzalez. I would like to personally thank them again for the continued support of the bank's mission to improve the quality of life for border residents. In Texas, the bank has had an important presence, including having been headquartered in San Antonio. Since its inception, 62 projects have been financed in the state through loans and grants. As you can tell by the number of infrastructure financed, the Texas-Mexico border region is a very important one for the bank. Here in the Cameron County and Matamoros region, the bank has financed 21 projects, providing more than $350 million in loans and grants. The bank has financed more by dollar amount in Cameron County than any other county in the state of Texas. The bank has continued to operate under the business-as-usual philosophy, notwithstanding the current coronavirus pandemic. Since the pandemic started, we recognized the tough budgetary decisions some communities were going to be facing as a result of declining revenues. In May, the bank's board approved a temporary 2-year, $200 million loan program to support communities dealing with the economic, health, and social impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, while at the same time promoting continued environmental improvement in the border region. This program is allowing NADB for the first time to refinance communities' existing debt for environmental infrastructure projects, as well as finance individual health-related projects. We at the bank recognize the need for reliable and sustainable infrastructure and how that infrastructure goes hand in hand with a successful economic development strategy to attract new businesses to a community. In conclusion, the bank is here to continue to develop and finance infrastructure projects in the Brownsville, Matamoros region and along the entire U.S.-Mexico border. We look forward to our future work with both public and private entities in the region to achieve much-needed and sustainable infrastructure. Thank you for the opportunity to highlight the important work of NADB.
One of the most exciting parts of being part of Brownsville is our deep seawater port. It is the only seawater port on the US-Mexico border, and it also has a pretty incredible engineering department. Here to talk to us about the many incredible things that they're doing at the port and the many capabilities that they have is Port Director Eduardo Campirano.
Welcome to the Port of Brownsville, known around the world as the port that works. My name is Eduardo A. Campirano. I'm the Port Director and CEO, and I am your host for today. The Port of Brownsville opened in May of 1936 and is the largest land-owning public port authority in the United States with approximately 40,000 acres. The port is the only deepwater seaport located directly on the U.S.-Mexico border, offering unrivaled access to markets on both sides of the border. Most importantly, we are the closest deepwater port serving Mexico's industrial centers in Monterrey, a prime manufacturing base for automaking, consumer electronics, and home appliances. The Port of Brownsville is a versatile marine terminal operation, supporting businesses dependent upon a wide range of cargoes. Refined petroleum products, bulk steel materials like slab and cold and hot roll steel coils, ore, scrap steel, sand, sugar, cement, windmill components, and limestone are some of the many commodities handled here. And an emerging container-on-barge service between Brownsville and Tampa, Florida, provides efficient connections with the East and Midwest United States via the I-95 and the I-75 corridors. The port's facilities include 1 million plus square feet of covered storage, 3 million plus square feet of open storage, 6 liquid cargo docks, along with 13 general cargo docks. Providing a safe, secure, and environmentally responsible location for international trade is a top priority. The Port of Brownsville offers and supports multiple modes of transportation, including ocean-going vessels, all major U.S. and Mexican truck lines, rail service throughout all of North America with a focus on Mexico, barge service, and pipeline access to U.S. and Mexican terminals. The Brownsville Ship Channel is being deepened from a depth of 42 feet to 52 feet, which will support a broader range of cargo ships and aligns with the recent expansion of the Panama Canal, allowing bigger ships to call on the port. When complete, the port will become one of the deepest ports on the Gulf of Mexico and will be able to accommodate deeper draft cargo vessels carrying heavier loads. Another example of our commitment to shippers is a process pioneered at the Port of Brownsville that allows trucks to load to the legal weight limits of Mexico while entering or leaving the port along an overweight corridor. Trucks may utilize the corridor weighing up to 125,000 pounds, 45,000 pounds heavier than domestic loads, while saving time and money by eliminating costly double handling. The Port of Brownsville is committed to working with the regional community to drive growth and economic prosperity. A 2019 economic impact study found that activity generated by the Port of Brownsville results in $3 billion in annual economic impact and produces $201 million in yearly tax revenues, supporting more than 51,000 jobs across the state, including 8,500 in the Rio Grande Valley. Many of those jobs are found at Keppel AmFels, the port's leading employer. Keppel has recently reintroduced shipbuilding to the state of Texas and is currently building two 774-foot-long U.S. flag container ships expected to be delivered by mid-2021. The Port of Brownsville, we are grateful for the progress we've made and the economic leadership we've achieved for the Rio Grande Valley and the state of Texas. We are proud of the reputation we have built as the port that works with businesses, shippers in our hometown, Brownsville, Texas. We are proud to be the port that works for everyone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Campirano. Thank you for showing us just how incredible this place really is and that you don't have to be at the port to benefit from the port. We're so excited to announce this next segment. To talk about our future of aerospace in Brownsville, here's Deputy Director of the City of Brownsville, Helen Ramirez.
Hello, my name is Helen Ramirez, and I'm the Deputy City Manager for the City of Brownsville, Texas. Thank you for joining us today as we talk about new space and commercial space opportunities here in Brownsville, South Texas. Our motto in Brownsville is "On the border, by the sea, and beyond" as a new space frontier. The City of Brownsville is open for new space venture capital activity. Morgan Stanley's space team estimates that by 2040, global space industry can grow to over $1 trillion. Texas continues to play a major role in space. We have 5 spaceports in the state of Texas. The Boca Chica launch site, which is headed by SpaceX, is one of the most successful commercial orbital launch site in the nation and the world. SpaceX is the world's first commercial vertical rocket launch site. It is a spaceport and test site that will build and launch Mars rocket prototypes from Boca Chica Beach here in Brownsville, Texas. The legislative support, geography, incentives, and unified and coordinated effort of local and regional organizations all played an important role in SpaceX site selection. Elon Musk said, "We looked all over the country to see what might make the best commercial orbital launch site. One of the biggest factors in selecting Brownsville was the willingness of state and local governments to support such an endeavor. The fundamental point that swayed SpaceX for Boca Chica was the tremendous outpouring of support from local residents." Our new space entrepreneurial ecosystem is a 4-pronged approach: educate, cultivate, convene, and connect. Through our UTRGV School of Astrophysics, we're convening educators and students and growing that ecosystem. By cultivating, we're talking about early stage companies, startups, and attracting new corporations to Brownsville. By connecting, we're talking about collaboration with our regional, state, national, and international corporations, and also fostering relationships with the New York Space Alliance, with Silicon Valley, the other 4 spaceports, and NASA. By convening, we're talking about growing the presence and that of creating a new space hub. The City of Brownsville has a singular focus to build the capacity and cultivate new space entrepreneurs. One of the first companies that we incubated was Expanding Frontiers, a nonprofit dedicated to building the commercial space development ecosystem through innovation and education. For those efforts, the City of Brownsville received an Economic Development Award by the Federal Lab Consortium for Tech Transfer. It was a way and platform by which NASA technology was utilized in the oil and gas industries to cultivate and innovate new products. The City of Brownsville also created Startup Texas Grant with the collaboration and leadership of the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation, BCIC. In addition, we have a great partnership with the Houston Commercial Space Corridor. We're leveraging Houston's leadership role in space and expanding the knowledge throughout the Texas Gulf Coast. Also, we are building eBridge. It's a new center for business and commercialization that is slated for completion in 2021. Join the City of Brownsville, Texas in being bold in our thinking, our actions, and strategic with our future. Thank you for joining us today.
The person you will want to contact to request a meeting to locate Brownsville. His name is Ramiro Aleman, the Director of Business Recruitment, Retention, and Expansion for the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation, here to talk about Brownsville assets.
Hello, my name is Ramiro Aleman. I'm the Director of Business Recruitment, Retention, and Expansion for the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the assets in Brownsville and how they can make your business work for you. One of our greatest assets is our geographic location. We're located right along the USMCA corridor in between the population centers of the Northeast United States and Central Mexico. Our community has approximately 200,000 inhabitants with an unemployment rate of about 9.7%. Our median age is 29.5, which means a young and growing workforce. One of the main topics discussed is always safety. Are my employees going to be safe? Are my employees' family going to be safe? Well, a recent Wallet Hub study suggested that Brownsville is the number 11 safest city in the United States and the number 2 safest city in Texas. So there will be no issues with safety or security when you're in Brownsville, Texas. Another one of our biggest assets is our Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport. The same airport that Amelia Earhart and Charles Lindbergh flew into. We are in the process of constructing a brand new 91,000 square foot terminal. There's 2 fixed base operators on site, general aviation, there's air cargo, and it's part of the Foreign Trade Zone 62. Another one of the main assets is accessibility. Interstate I-69 East runs right through the heart of the city. We also have Class A rail by UP, Union Pacific, and short line rail by Omnitrax. We've got 4 international bridges, 2 commercial. If there's one thing that Brownsville has, it's plenty of land. Everything from potential mega sites to smaller sites. For example, the North Brownsville Industrial Park is a 73-acre industrial shovel-ready industrial park. It's adjacent to Interstate I-69E, only 5 miles to the Port of Brownsville. It's already zoned for industrial use. There's also rail potential. This property is owned by GBIC and it's adjacent to other industrial users. Brownsville also has medium tracks. As you can see, the Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation owns approximately 750 acres of land that will be master planned. There's also other properties available in the industrial corridor. Brownsville also has the potential of hosting mega sites. These are properties over 1,000 acres. They are adjacent to the port, adjacent to rail, and minutes to the International Bridge. Another asset that we've created is the We Grow Our Own initiative. Essentially, that's workforce development gardening. We've partnered with a local ISD, with the community college, and with the university, but most importantly, with local industry to create that pathway for students to succeed by continuing their education on all these levels. Recent economic development successes. In the past year, we've completed 6 projects that totaled over 1,000 jobs created, over $271 million of capital investment, at an average wage of over $15 an hour. We still have 20 projects that we are working with in the pipeline as we speak. A lot of questions revolve around incentives. Well, we're here to assist. We have workforce incentives, including job creation and job training incentives. The GBEDC owns over 800 acres of negotiable land. We also are the conduit to provide tax abatements or tax reimbursements. Our local municipally owned utility provides competitive utility rates. We also have worked with the city of Brownsville to expedite any needed permits, and we work with the county and state to provide state incentives. Now that you know a little bit more about Brownsville, we'd like for you to schedule a meeting or come take a look for yourself. We know that the assets here in Brownsville will help companies get to the point of profitability faster, and that's the goal that we have for you.
Once again, the Executive Director of the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation, Mario Lozoya.
Thank you, Ana. Well, you've heard a lot from a lot of good people trying to help us, help you understand how Brownsville can get you to profitability faster. So let's look at this particular slide. I thought we'd put a slide up and cover those things that we think will help you get to that profitability faster. Beginning with negotiating with local government agencies, we understand that permits can often slow down your project. We have a strong partnership with the City of Brownsville staff to ensure your project stays on time. Also, our organization owns plenty of land that can be part of the incentive package depending on your incentive and your investment. Sit next to you and represent you in meetings with our utility companies, construction companies, workforce boards, and other stakeholders. Speaking of, the state of Texas recognized our organization's workforce strategy with a state award of workforce excellence. We have a strong partnership with all levels of education and workforce training. Our objective is to ensure we are producing the relevant workforce for your needs. Community partners will work together to meet your company timeline. We understand how your timeline is tied to your company's profitability. We understand how safety and quality are integral key performance indicators to get to your production targets, which in turn affects your company's profitability. We work with schools to ensure the students are learning relevant like certifications. Here at the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation, we want to work with you and help you meet company targets, ultimately recovering your investment in a timely manner, thus getting you your profitability faster. Ana?
Thank you so much, Mario. A very special thank you to all involved and to you for joining us in embracing small, medium, and large industries from all over the world and letting us bring a little slice of Brownsville to you. To schedule an appointment with the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation, please visit www.gbedc.com.
We are here in the new lab for the new program at Texas Utmost College, the Industrial Mechanics and Maintenance Technology Lab. It is a lab that we have been opening for the first time this year for our students. And we're going to be training our students to receive an Associate of Applied Science in Industrial Mechanics and Maintenance Technology. The curriculum for this new program has been developed in full collaboration with representatives from the local and regional industry partners. One of our partners that we have been privileged to work with as we are developing this program is JPEC, the Greater Brownsville Development Corporation. Working with them, we were able to acquire a robotic arm that was previously installed in one of the Toyota's manufacturing sites. And we're going to be using this robotic arm here at the facility to train our students in how to program, how to control, and how to read and troubleshoot such equipment. So again, they will be ready to apply these kind of skills in real world jobs. So we're very fortunate to have this kind of partnership and support from JPEC.
My name is Josh Mejia. I'm the Executive Director of the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation, the community's Type B Economic Development Group. And we're very happy to be able to present some information regarding our involvement in our community as an economic development organization. Our economic development organization revolves around quality of life, human capital investment, small business development, and scalability of businesses. Our board and our team firmly believe that in order to be successful at attracting businesses, we must first invest in our human capital in order to create a very conducive environment that's pro-business. That includes policies, flagship projects, infrastructure, and workforce development alike. During our efforts in collaboration with the City of Brownsville and the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation, we've been able to successfully implement the right type of policies that are necessary to be able to attract and recruit as well as expand businesses here in the community. We have a lot of exciting things waiting for us in the near future. We have LNGs, we have SpaceX in our backyard, and plenty of commercial development and light industrial development coming our way. We very much look forward into our collaboration as both the forefront of economic development, the Type A and the Type B, coming together to service you here in our community.
We're at the very first construction site at the North Brownsville Industrial Park. My name is Ramiro Aleman. I'm with the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation, and we're excited to have them here. The North Brownsville Industrial Park is a 70-acre site that's fully infrastructured. It's got connections for water, wastewater, sewer, telecommunications, natural gas, and it comes with reinforced concrete streets. XL Bobbin and Plastic Components is a plastic injection molding facility that will create 20 jobs and will invest over $1 million in our community. We are excited to have them here, and we invite you to come and take a look, because we know that your company will find a lot of growth opportunities here with all of the assets that we have in the area.
This is a story that's very dear and near to my heart. It's the story of Brandon Ramirez, who actually just graduated last December. For over 2 years, he lived in Matamoros. He couldn't afford to have a car or even to buy the ticket for the bus. So for over 2 years, he woke up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and he drove his bike to Brownsville and back to Matamoros. And when he graduated last December, it was very emotional. What touched me about the story, the student wanted, when he graduated, he came to my office and I want to congratulate him. And he brought me a gift. And he told me, I just graduated and the best gift I could give you is that bike. And that was the best gift I've ever received in my life. And if you saw when you enter the building, I did display that gift in the engineering building because I want that story to inspire others. When I have kids from the high schools, when I have students who are having difficulties, and I tell them, look at that bike, it reflects the story of Brandon. It reflects his passion, his perseverance. Someone who couldn't even have a ticket, or have the money to buy a ticket, he's able to graduate and he became an engineer. It's not a bike, it's more than a bike. It's a story of success, a story of perseverance, and a story that our students can overcome the challenges, whether they are on this side of the border or on the other side of the border. And these type of stories like Brandon is what inspire me and what inspire our faculty to do more for our students, because if you support them, if you give them the support you need, they'll do amazing things.
My overall impression of Brownsville workforce has been outstanding. Our city has the resources to meet the needs of any industry. Brownsville's greatest asset for CK Technologies has been the support from its city and also from its entities such as GBDC. They have always been open to listen to our needs as an industry. Throughout the years, we have created great partnerships where not only our company has been benefited from, but also our community and our educational programs. Brownsville has a lot to offer, Its communities here with open arms to receive companies like us to be successful. They will provide the right tools to move forward.
Welcome to Brownsville Independent School District. I am Mary Solis, the proud principal of Gladys Porter Early College High School. I am very excited to share with you how the classroom meets the industry.
Welcome to Porter Early College High School. My name is Carly Ann Garza, and I'm the proud P-Tech director here at Porter, where we are focused in advanced manufacturing. What we're looking to work with our students is to prepare them for the workforce and create a pipeline from the high school all the way to the workforce community.
My name is Gerardo Valadez. I'm proud instructor here at Porter High School. I'm the instructor for the P-Tech program for the manufacturing classes, advanced manufacturing and principles of manufacturing classes. In my class, the students have the objective to learn more about the programming of these kind of robots. Okay, here at Porter, our expectations are to the students get the requirements and skills and experience to be ready to start working on the manufacturing facilities.
You can't build a robot by yourself. You need a team. It's a team. And we now have this great facility, a great robot that was also donated to us. And we have all the resources now to be able to, allow them to experience what it is to be in advanced manufacturing.
As we close out our virtual tour, please enjoy our final video, Brownsville on the border, by the sea, and beyond.
Brownsville is open for business. We want your investment, we want you to consider Brownsville, and we want you here.
We have a lot of exciting things waiting for us in the near future.
Our expectations to the students get the requirements and skills and experience to be ready.
I am very excited to share with you how the classroom meets the industry.
So we're very fortunate to have this kind of partnership and support from JPEG.
Our students can overcome the challenges, whether they are on this side of the border or on the other side of the border.
Brownsville has a lot to offer. Its communities here with open arms to receive companies like us to be successful.
We will have advanced technology here. We will have advanced manufacturing here. We have a lot more companies here.
And you could feel it, the excitement, the passion,